Swami actually is making one very wonderful point, that devotional service is a continual process from one's previous life. And he substantiates by saying that the devotional service is, previously it has been established that devotional service is Amrita, devotional service is eternal. So whatever one executes, whatever devotional service one renders, never goes to waste. It always remains there. The benefits of devotional service, no matter how insignificant it is, will always remain in the credit of the performer. And it will continue from life after life. Now, how that will continue? Will it become manifest right after birth? When will it, say, the results of one's previous life's advancement? When will it manifest? When will it manifest? The moment he begins the process. Yeah, which begins again in contact of a devotee. When one comes to the spiritual platform, then he'll make a very quick advancement, as if very soon he'll come to the highest, to the point where he left. For example, say in this life, say the goal is to reach the ceiling. Now in this life one leaves his body at this level of advancement. Then when he begins his spiritual life in his next life, where will he begin from? He'll begin from this point. And that's why it will appear that that person made a very quick advancement. Like, because he is already advanced from his previous life, therefore he just comes to that point very quickly. And from this point, he will keep progressing onwards. The next life he comes up to this point, then, and leaves his body. What will happen? Will he have to start from the scratch? Although he'll start from the scratch, so to say, but very soon he'll reach this point. That's the point that Rupa Goswami is making. So devotional service to the Supreme Lord is the natural instinct of every living entity. This tendency to render devotional service to the Lord, or tendency to believe, in simple words we can say, the tendency to believe in God is there in every living entity. The more advanced one becomes, the more aware he becomes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this consciousness, though lying dormant in those who are materially contaminated, is found in every living entity, and when purified, this is called Krishna consciousness. Then he is making the point about sadhana bhakti. The sadhana bhakti, although the first stage of devotional service is sadhana bhakti, but by sadhana one cannot achieve devotional perfection. Sadhana is necessary, but the sadhana is simply to bring him. Sadhana is simply to arouse the dormant Krishna consciousness that is already there in him. That's why the sadhana. It's not that by sadhana one will achieve devotional service. Nitya siddhasya bhavasya, that nitya siddhasya bhavasya, nitya siddha is eternally there. And that, by practice, that becomes manifest. Now, Krishna consciousness cannot be aroused simply by practice. Actually, there is no such practice. When we wish to develop our innate capacity for devotional service, there are certain processes which, by our accepting and executing them, will cause that dormant capacity to be invoked. The dormant capacity will become manifest. Such practice is called sadhana bhakti.
One statement is that there is no such practice.
Yeah.
But we are doing practice. No?
Yeah. That means the devotion, actually there is no devotional service in practice as such. The real devotional service is not achieved by practice. But by practice, what is happening is that our devotional tendencies are becoming manifest. Narad Muni mentioned about this to Yudhishthir Maharaj. My dear king, one has to fix his mind on Krishna by any means. Devotional service means to fix the mind upon Krishna by any means. But then again, Prabhupada is pointing out, but we should be careful that that means is not a negative means. Like, we should not fix our mind the way Kamsa fixed his mind. Kamsa was thinking of Krishna, no doubt, but he was thinking about Krishna in an inimical way. So that is not desirable. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us an authorized program for the purpose, centered around the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. The chanting has so much power that it immediately attaches one to Krishna. That is the beginning of sadhana bhakti. Somehow or other one has to fix his mind on Krishna. The great saint Ambarish Maharaj, although a responsible king, fixed his mind on Krishna, and similarly, anyone who tries to fix his mind in this way will very rapidly make progress in successfully reviving his original Krishna consciousness. So, you can well imagine, like, for a king, it must be so difficult because the king has so many things to worry about. He is so busy from morning till night. And on top of everything, there is always a threat of some other king coming and attacking him. So in a state like that, to fix his mind on Krishna, actually what it means that when one wants to fix his mind, what one would naturally do? He'll go to the forest. Or even if he's in Mayapur, he'll find some quiet place. He'll find the Mayapur even is too busy, too crowded. He'll find a solitary place. Generally, that is how one would try to think about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But Ambarish Maharaj, living in a palace, surrounded by so many people, few hours every day are just spent on just listening to complaints. A king actually had to have a court assembly, and he would give darshan. And at that time, anybody could come and complain, or like, and a noble king sometimes would even listen to an animal. There are some instances that the king found a dog at his doorstep. So he asked the dog, "What's happened? Why are you standing here?" He said, "I have a complaint to make." And the king listened to that. And his assembly would be open to anybody could come in. And they could lodge their complaint. So when he's so busy, how can he fix one's mind on Krishna? And that is the technique actually. What is the technique? What is the devotional service actually? Devotional service means to put Krishna in the center. So whatever you are doing, just do it with Krishna in the center. Like how would a king like Ambarish Maharaj think of Krishna at the same time execute his royal responsibilities? How will he do that? Because he would, yes,
Follow the example of Swami.
yes, that's true, but in a simple words, I would say that he would see that the citizens that came to complain to him are Krishna's children. So he is not directly thinking of Krishna. This is indirectly thinking of Krishna. Krishna's children has come to complain to me. I am a representative of Krishna. What should I do? Now are you thinking about Krishna? Like Arjun, another classic example is Arjun fighting the battle. In the middle of the battlefield he is Krishna conscious. How? He was fortunate that Krishna is his charioteer. So right in front of him Krishna was there. So every single action was naturally centered around Krishna or in relation to Krishna. But often we are not that fortunate to be that Krishna conscious. But then again, it is not that difficult also, because with Arjun, Krishna was there, driving his chariot, standing right in front of him. And with us, Krishna is there in our hearts. And he is driving the chariot. I mean, we can give him the rein of the chariot of the body. That, oh my dear super soul, please take the rein and drive this chariot. The chariot of the body. Yes.
King Ambarish had this process to see Krishna in his before the kingdom. But for us, I'm asking if we try to find out one process to remember Krishna in our daily engagements, that our mental proposal should be corrected by the spiritual master to make sure it...
Yes, the beginning is there. It begins with the spirit listening to the instructions of the spiritual master. That is how it begins. Yeah. And then it'll become more and more, Krishna will become more and more prominent in our life. You see, ultimately we can think in terms of two ways. Either with our body in the center or with Krishna in the center. Conditioned life means seeing things with the body in the center. Right? For example, that we see something and we feel very disgusted, very repulsed. Say we see some dirty things and we immediately repulse to that. On the other hand, we see something and we are immediately attracted to that. Now what is the cause of that attraction and repulsion? Our sense gratification, our senses. Things that are conducive to our sense gratification, we are attracted to that. Things that are detrimental to our sense gratification, we are repulsed to that. So that means we are relating with the body in the center. But similarly, we can reverse the situation and put Krishna in the center. Seeing things in the light of Krishna. As I said, like a king, how would he meditate upon Krishna in that way? Then he had to drop all his royal responsibilities. But what is he doing? He is seeing, oh, these citizens are Krishna's children. This kingdom is Krishna's kingdom. I am Krishna's representative. And now I have to take care of Krishna's kingdom and Krishna's children. So, on behalf of Krishna, I have to make these arrangements. So that is Krishna consciousness. Yes, you have a question?
Maharaj, are you saying in the sense that we can remember Krishna by remembering his energies?
Or not by seeing things in relation to him. In relation to him.
Like Bhagavad Gita, many chapter talks about that when we see the sunshine is coming from Krishna, taste the water.
Right.
That,
Right.
Maharaj.
Yeah, I mean, it depends what you mean by Krishna's energy. Like sunshine is naturally Krishna's energy, but what about the living entities?
Superior energy.
Superior energy, but it's better to see that they're Krishna's, it's more personal to think that they're Krishna's children. Like seeing things as energy is rather impersonal.
From Shraddha to 10, like 9 stages, last is Bhava and Prem. How that 9 stages and these 3 stages are related?
How is?
Like Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajan Kriya. So last 2 stages are Bhava and Prem. So is it that first 7 are Sadhana Bhakti, Asakti, Till Asakti?
Bhakti, Bhava Bhakti and Prema Bhakti.
Yeah.
So you say how this
The category.
are these 7 are part of sadhana bhakti?
Yeah. So up to the Nishtha stage is sadhana. Then Ruchi and Ruchi onwards to Bhav is Bhava. Bhava meaning it is kind of not exactly Bhava in that there is one stage that is Bhava. But Nishtita Bhakti, when you become fixed up, then you get the taste. The taste will automatically make it spontaneous. The way Prabhupada has described it, like devotional service in practice, spontaneous devotional service, and loving devotional service. See, spontaneous, when does it become spontaneous? When you get the taste? Which stage is that? The Ruchi is the Adho Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, then Nishtha, Ashakti, Ruchi. So it is gradual, it's not just from one step, it's just jumping onto the next. But ultimately, bhava is transforming into prem. Like in Madhurya Kadambini, it has been described, bhava has been described as the flower of devotion, and prem is the fruit. So now is the flower that gradually transforms into the fruit. Right? It's one is transforming into another, gradually.
Maharaj, here in Nectar devotion, they showed sadhana bhakti has 2 parts. One is Vaidhi Bhakti and one is Raga Bhakti. So can we
It is not exactly 2 parts. It can be also seen as 2 branches. It's not that Vaidhi Bhakti will give rise to Raganuga Bhakti. Not necessarily, generally not. Because it's a different thing altogether in a way. But at the same time, without Vaidhi Bhakti, one cannot begin his devotional service. Devotional service is rendered through Vaidhi Bhakti. Like it can be, like actually Prabhupada is describing it as a gradual, from Vaidhi Bhakti to coming to the Raganuga Bhakti. But when we go deep into Raganuga Bhakti, then we can see that there are 2 branches onto it. There are 2 branches. But at the same time, the Vaidhi Bhakti, Raganuga Bhakti also will be a result of Vaidhi Bhakti. Now, good point actually, because that's the mistake that some people make nowadays. That they think that they'll jump into Raganuga Bhakti rejecting Vaidhi Bhakti. But that is not desirable. Rather, the scripture says that devotional service rendered without the vidhi or rules and regulations of the scriptures will simply create a disturbance. Utpataiva kalpate. So devotional service must be executed in Vaidhi Bhakti.
Although one may be in development.
Actually, what is the catch here is, at least I'm talking about for the mass. If somebody is already very advanced, then he can go straight to Raganuga Bhakti. Right? And as a matter of fact, some of Mahaprabhu's associates were like that. They were just spontaneously into the rag. But at the same time, they followed the Vaidhi. They did not reject Vaidhi. But when we are talking about the mass Raganuga Bhakti, then there is a very unique development which has been described in Chaitanya Charitamrita, that Mahaprabhu, I briefly mentioned it the other day, that after performing the Braja Leela, Krishna considered that how will anyone get this Braja Prem? Because one will render service unto me through Vaidhi Bhakti. And by following Vaidhi Bhakti, when he'll achieve perfection, he'll go to Vaikuntha. So Vaikuntha is one area, Vrindavan is another area. From Vaikuntha you cannot go to Vrindavan. Right? So how will anyone ever have access to Vrindavan? Now he displayed his Vrindavan Leela, so naturally he wants living entities to come to Vrindavan Leela. But how will anyone have access to Vrindavan Leela? Therefore he decided to come as a devotee. And the catch is here. You serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead through Vaidhi Bhakti, you'll go to Vaikuntha. You serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead as a devotee through Vaidhi Bhakti, you will end up in Vrindavan. You get that point? So the way to enter into Vrindavan is by serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead as a devotee, following the rules and regulations of the scriptures. Because Vaidhi Bhakti must be there. Because otherwise it will simply create a disturbance. Like we are seeing nowadays, like some people are saying that come to me, I will give you the real stuff. In ISKCON you are just practicing Vaidhi Bhakti. I'll give you Raganuga Bhakti. But ultimately what's happening? Their spiritual life is destroyed. Those innocent people are simply being misled by some unscrupulous individuals. But now consider what Prabhupada gave. What did Prabhupada tell us? Just serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Vaidhi Bhakti to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is how? So Vidhi means following the rules and regulations of the scriptures, instructions of the scriptures. So how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has been instructed to be worshipped in the scriptures? Sankirtan. Jaggai Sankirtana Praya. So you serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu through Sankirtan. That is the Vaidhi Bhakti. But when you serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu through Sankirtan, you become eligible for entering into Vrindavan, which is exclusively meant for Raganuga Bhakti. Right? Okay, now let us come to that point, that how it is becoming Raganuga Bhakti. What is the meaning of Raganuga Bhakti? The Braja Bhaktas, the devotees of Vrindavan, are Ragatmika Bhaktas. Rag means love. Those who are devotees of Krishna simply on the basis of, those who have simply love for Krishna and nothing else. Their entire entity is a personification of love for Krishna. That is what they are. That's why they're called Ragatmika Bhaktas. Now to follow a Ragatmika Bhakta is called Raganuga. Anuga means to follow. Rag, Anug. Following these Vrindavan Bhaktas is Raganuga Bhakti. Now of all the Raganuga, of all the rest devotees of Vrindavan, who is the topmost? Srimati Radharani. And who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Krishna in the mood of Srimati Radharani. So when you are following Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who are you following? You are following Radharani. Therefore, to follow Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is naturally leading us to Raganuga Bhakti. All the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are naturally coming to the situation, coming to the state of Raganuga Bhakti. We don't have to separately cultivate Raganuga Bhakti. We serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu through Vaidhi Bhakti, and it will automatically take the shape of Raganuga Bhakti. And as a result of that, we'll go to Vrindavan.
Maharaj, Prabhupada mentioning that like in Raganuga stage there is attachment to execute the Krishna consciousness, and in Vedic there is hesitation and there is lethargy. I think Prabhupada mentioning like that. So here Prabhupada mentioning when he gets this attachment, he automatically tries to decorate the deity and prepare different kinds of dresses and think of different plans to execute his devotion service nicely.
Yeah. So Prabhupada is giving, as I was saying, like if we take it from that 9 processes of devotional service, 9 stages of devotion, starting from Shraddha, then it comes to Nishtita Bhakti, fixed up devotee, right? And then it is gradually coming to Ruchi, taste. And as a result of the taste, one is automatically driven into doing things for Krishna. Once, it's like Prabhupada also gives the example of jaundice. When you have jaundice, sugar tastes bitter. But when the jaundice is cured, then what will happen? The sugar will taste sweet. Do you like sweet? Yes. Will you take sugar? You'll be forced to, you'll be compelled, you'll be naturally driven to taste the sweets. So, our conditioned state is a disease stage. And when the disease is cured, then there will be automatically an attraction for the sweet taste, rasa. But in the ultimate sense, at the beginning of the thing, Prabhupada is giving that understanding. But the thing is, when you come to Chaitanya Charitamrita, then we get to see, or when you go into deeper concept of Raganuga Bhakti, the real identity, real meaning of Raganuga Bhakti, then it becomes clear that how Prabhupada will explain that later on. Now Prabhupada is actually pointing out as a spontaneous devotion service. When devotion becomes spontaneous, when you got the taste and you want to spontaneously want to do it.
That is 24 hours.
Yeah, 24 hours, you will wish that there were 48 hours. Yes, Atul Krishna Prabhu.
Maharaj, your explanation is very clear that by serving Mahaprabhu in Vaidhi, then we get entrance into Vrindavan.
Yeah.
But my question is, Rupa Goswami, who's establishing the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, why is he presenting this, as 2 different processes and teaching about Raganuga as a separate thing?
Yeah, it's not actually saying a separate thing. What he is actually saying, that when you reach certain height, then you'll automatically be doing these things. This is and the scriptures ultimately is like a milestone. You see, milestones are giving an indication that you are progressing. The milestones are not really making you move on towards the progressive path. The progressive path is one thing, and this, like, oh, I'm on the right track. So last time stone I saw was 14 and now it's 15. So in this way you keep on progressing. Like, as this point has been made clear in this scale, in the previous statement, that just by practicing devotional service, you cannot make spiritual advancement. The spiritual advancement is another thing altogether. It's not a matter of practice. It is something that is there inside, and it will automatically become revealed if the process is executed properly. And an example can be given, like look at a light bulb. The switch is on, the bulb, there is light there inside the bulb, but unfortunately there is a black paint, a coating of black paint on the surface of the bulb. Will there be any light? So that's what is happening to us. The light is there, so it's only a matter of scraping the black coating off the bulb, then the light will automatically shine. And so in this way Rupa Goswami is pointing out, like, when you make these advancements, this is what's going to happen. But again, the point, emphatically, like as I said, like some people are misleading because they themselves didn't understand. They think that this is another way of, it's a matter of just imagining. Like now, just use a common sense. Like, is the spiritual reality a matter of our imagination, product of our imagination? The mind is the reservoir of material impressions. So how, based on material impressions, we can conceive the spiritual reality? Therefore, when it comes to spiritual reality, we simply have to be open to that, Like, we just let it reveal. Dibbo Gyan Hriday Prakashita. The transcendental knowledge is revealed in the heart. So let it be revealed. And a bona fide spiritual master like Srila Prabhupada knows how to reveal that in our hearts. Therefore, we have to have implicit faith in the process that Prabhupada gave. And that's why, we have to be very, very loyal to Srila Prabhupada and emphatic about this point, that what Srila Prabhupada gave is perfect. And then, in course of time, we realize that what Prabhupada gave is perfect. Because the taste of the pudding is in eating. We in ourselves will get the taste, get to see that yes, it's happening.
There's different stages of bhakti. Then after nishta there's ruchi. So that's translated as taste. But my question is there not taste already before then?
There's some taste, but not full taste. The taste buds are just about experiencing something, but not that full relish of it.
How is that full relish? Like symptoms of that full?
The symptom of that, the more you get, the more you want to eat. The more you eat, the more you want to eat.
So we gradually experience that.
So that's why I was saying, you'll feel that 24 hours is not enough. Not only you'll become engaged 24 hours a day, but you'll feel, I wish there were 48 hours.
So in the stages.
And the same point is that you will feel that just 2 years are not enough. I wish I had millions of years to hear the holy name of the Lord. I wish I had millions of tongues to chant the glory of the Lord. That's what Rupa Goswami is saying. Tunde tandavini bitonite tin tundavali labdhai. Karna krodo karambini ghatayate karnar buddha kuspriham. That when this holy name dances on the tip of my tongue, I wish to have millions of tongues. When the holy name enters through the ear passage of the ear hole, I wish I could have billions of ears. Yes.
Roger, I'm asking if you were saying that the spiritual is not a matter of imagination. How will one be able to differentiate between the two when the ecstasy is there or when it's just imagination?
Because when the ecstasy is there, you'll go mad. You won't be able to retain it within yourself. And you will start behaving in an amazing way. You lose yourself. That's what ecstasy is.
But how do you see Prabhupada doing that? Like if he run on the ground and things like that, how do you see Prabhupada? Wouldn't that look like a little bit of a sahaja?
That's why don't artificially imitate something. Let it happen. And service now, ecstasy later. It will happen. It will happen naturally. But let it happen when it happens. Yes.
There are so many injunctions or rules and regulations we are following in the Vedic Bhakti. So it may be seen that there is gradual taste which is coming after years of practice. So one may have taste some of the limbs of Krishna consciousness, or all the limbs automatically taste comes at one time, or it's like for some limbs it comes when we are focusing.
Well, again, you see in Madhurya Kadambini, it has been described in this way, that when a devotee smells the tulasis at the feet of the Lord, then his entire consciousness, his entire entity just becomes his olfactory organ, smelling organ. There's no other, all the other function stops. It's only, smelling the tulasis or the flowers. Then when he sees the Lord, then all his senses, all other senses stop. It's only the eyes that become focused. He only sees, and other activities stop. Then he hears the flute of Krishna, sound of Krishna's flute. Then he becomes all ears, and everything else stops. So this is how, one actually experiences the Lord through different sense perceptions, not simultaneously, because it's one at a time, and this is so overwhelming that particular sense organ becomes the only predominating organ.
This is at which stage of Bhakti?
That's the highest stage of Bhakti, when one is perceiving the Supreme Lord.
My question is that we are following some 64 principles or more principles, rules and regulations.
This is the point of ecstatic love.
I'm not asking about ecstatic love. I'm asking that some principles are there. So it's that seems in our practice that we develop gradually taste for some of the. I'm saying that in our practice of sadhana bhakti we follow some rules and regulations. So after years of practice we gradually develop some taste for some of the limbs. So question is that taste for all the limbs awaken, all the 64 principles awaken at all at the same time, or gradually for some limbs it awakens?
Oh, I see. No, it will be gradual. It will be gradual. And then again, this is not something that we can intellectually grasp. Let's follow the process and let it happen. Because these are certain things that cannot be really expressed through words properly.
Means simultaneously Vaidhi and Raganuga will go.
Yes, Yes, and the thing is, they say that even the Uttamadhikari Bhakta, who is in the prema stage, he will still practice Vaidhi Bhakti for the benefit of others. Because he's an acharya, he's setting an example, unless he's an avadhuta. Avadhuta doesn't really have any consciousness, external consciousness. Like for example, like he doesn't have any concern whether he's wearing any clothes. He doesn't have any awareness of his body. Therefore, he throws away his clothes, or he doesn't put on his clothes to begin with. Right? Now, you see, in order to preach, in order to set a proper example, we have to refrain from behaving like that. Therefore, it is said that even an Uttamadhikari Bhakta comes down to the Madhyamadhikar in order to preach. Because in Uttamadhikar platform, he won't have any external consciousness. Therefore, he has to come to the Madhyamadhikar to make discrimination and behave for the benefit of setting the right example. Yes?
Speaking on the Madhyamadhikari, this discrimination for the Uttamadhikari when he comes down, is it a big effort to try to understand everyone, or is given by Krishna this discrimination?
No, he makes it a point that he considers that preaching is my mission. I have to preach. Mahaprabhu wanted me to preach. Right? So in order to preach, I have to come down to this stage. Because, put it this way, that if he was in Uttamadhikar platform, then he wouldn't go to where people are, like that. He would rather prefer to be in an isolated place. Like the Bhajananandis, they prefer to stay in Vrindavan. Not today's Vrindavan, not in Lai Bazaar. That Vrindavan which was a forest, there was nothing there. And they were Bhajananandena Mattaliko. He Radhe Brajagopike, He Nanda Suna Kutaha, Ghosantaviti Brajapure Sat. Khedai Mahabhiyu Bhalo. So you see, like that kind of mood, you cannot display in public. Right? People won't understand. And they'll think that you are mad. So that's why, you see, they are not actually coming into, and when they come to public, when they come to people, then they try to behave themselves, restrain there. And especially when they have to preach, like, you have to get involved with their activities, chastise them. These are not really desirable activities for Uttamadhikari. But, he comes down to the Madhyamadhikar platform for the sake of establishing Krishna consciousness, or for the sake of giving them Krishna consciousness. Yes, Gita Nagari?
You were mentioning how by worshipping Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu through Vaidhi Bhakti, then one will automatically develop Raganuga Bhakti for Lord Krishna in this age of Kali.
Not automatically, when he achieves perfection.
When you achieve.
Yeah.
So my question is that you see different types of devotees in ISKCON, and I know some devotees, for example, where it's only Vrindavan, and they don't. If you say, "Why don't you come on over to the Mayapur side?" It's like, no, only Vrindavan. I don't want to go to the Mayapur side. Or they might not exactly say it like that, but the general mood is like that. And then I know some other devotees, it's only Mayapur. And I don't want to go to the Vrindavan side. So what I'm saying is, what is the balance between attraction for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and attraction for Radha Krishna? Is somebody who's really attracted to Radha Krishna, will he back off from his attraction for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, or do they simultaneously happen?
Yeah, see, the balance is ISKCON. They're in ISKCON in Vrindavan, others are in ISKCON in Mayapur. Right? And ISKCON is the wing of Sankirtan movement, the mainstream of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement. So just by being in ISKCON, you are in Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement. Right? You may not go out and distribute books as such in Sankirtan. You may not directly give it out, but there are some indirect services that is enhancing the Sankirtan spirit. Like for example, in an army, not that every member of the army goes to the front line and fight the battle. There are cooks, there are nurses, there are doctors, there are clerks, there are electricians. Now, they are not fighting the battle. The cook is simply cooking the food, right? The nurse is just taking care of the wounded soldiers and so forth. But when the battle is won, everybody gets the credit. So that's the advantage we have in being in ISKCON. ISKCON is fighting the battle. ISKCON is spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world. And just by being a part of ISKCON, we are getting the benefit. Chandrasekhar?
In the Yellow Book, the compilation of Prabhupada's statements called On Preaching is the Essence, there's a quote in there taken from a purport in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, wherein Srila Prabhupada says that preaching is so relishable that the Uttamadhikari goes down to the Madhyamadhikari.
I see.
Could you comment on that?
Well, Prabhupada said it, what can I comment? And you quoted it. Well, to kind of elaborate on that point is that yes, preaching is so relishable, and that is what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted, and that's why all the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are engaged in preaching. See, apparently the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, they were not preaching. They were not preaching. They were writing books, and they were just absorbed in, absorbed in discussing about Radha Krishna's pastimes all the time. But Prabhupada said that they were, Rupa Goswami said, Prabhupada in this Nectar of Devotion at the beginning, in the preface, Prabhupada is saying that Rupa Goswami was preaching, he established the preaching of Krishna consciousness all over the world. Like the books that he wrote are actually the future arrangement, or the arrangement for the future to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. So they did it. They did not get into that act immediately, but they prepared for that preaching. So the point here is that everyone is in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, every single follower of Sri Chaitanya, sincere follower of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, are bound to be preachers. Why? Because preaching is so relishable. You see, you can relish something yourself. That gives you some taste. But doesn't it give you a greater taste and greater satisfaction when you serve that to others and see that they are relishing it? Provided you are very, very compassionate and magnanimous. Right? So Mahaprabhu's devotees are extremely magnanimous. Therefore, they are not so interested to relish it themselves. They are more interested in distributing it to others for them to relish. And by seeing that they are relishing, he is enjoying even more. So that's why Prabhupada said that preaching is so relishable. That it's, like the two considerations are, as either you are relishing yourself or you are making others to relish. Now if you make this consideration and considering that you are a very magnanimous person as you really are, what would you prefer to do? Give it to others to relish and see that they are relishing it. And when you see that they are relishing it, then you enjoy it yourself even more. So, any other question? There are quite a few questions. I couldn't even cover one page out of 25 that I have today.
We see we are very much self-centered and it's very difficult to break out of this. And then, but how much preaching can help actually? We look for others. This is maybe a way how we go out from ourselves.
I couldn't get the point actually.
How much preaching can help that we go out from ourselves?
How much preaching can help to go out?
We are very self-centered, like on ourselves.
Yeah.
We are first, and then we forget, for example, Krishna. How much preaching can help us to go out from ourselves, from self-centered mentality.
Yeah. You see, ultimately it is all a matter of joy, relishing joy. Because jivas, all the jivas, the motivating factor behind whatever he does is ananda. It is ananda that actually drives us to do whatever. Like why a man is running after a woman. Because he thinks that by getting the woman he'll get the ananda. And so the ultimate motivating factor is this ananda. So when we get to see that there is more joy in giving it to others than enjoying it ourselves, then what would we naturally feel like doing? Won't we feel like giving it to others? Because this gives us greater joy, greater ananda. So wherever there is a possibility of greater ananda, a living entity will be driven to do that. Say for example, today, why did you join Krishna consciousness? Because you realized that there is greater joy in here. So similarly, now that you are in Krishna consciousness, your activities will be, you'll be motivated to act in certain way, driven by that impetus for relishing ananda.
You said one statement which I can understand, that if you serve Supreme Personality of Godhead,
maybe you can say it louder for everyone's benefit, as they were saying.
You said one statement that if we serve Supreme Personality of Godhead in Vaidhi Bhakti, we will go to Vaikuntha. But if we serve Supreme Personality of Godhead as a devotee, then we can get Vrindavan Bhakti. So,
He'll go to Vrindavan.
we'll go to Vrindavan. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as a devotee, we are worshipping, because of which we can go to Vrindavan. Or it's like Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, this is especially for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, or whenever Lord comes as a devotee.
Is it only for the case of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, or whenever Lord comes as a devotee? In which incarnation the Lord came as a devotee?
I am Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
So, only Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And not only that, you see the main point here is, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, Krishna came, assuming the mood of Srimati Radharani, which is the Vrindavan mood, right? Ragatmika Bhakta. Therefore, by following Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we are automatically coming to the path of Raganuga Bhakti, because we are following the mood of Raga. So, following a Ragatmika Bhakta Now we are in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we are seeing him behaving like Radharani. Now when we come follow Radharani, how will we follow her? Following her the way she is behaving. Right? I mean, what is she doing? She is simply displaying her love for Krishna. So that becomes the attractive feature for us to follow her. Okay, the last question and then I'll give a 15 minutes break.
Some easy understanding about something I had understand. I heard that if somebody has developed taste for chanting, serving the devotee and preaching, then he will achieve perfection in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's and he will enter into Chaitanya Mahaprabhu pastime, and from there he will transfer to Vrindavan pastime. So what is the progression? What is
the progression is like this. It has been displayed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Ramananda Roy. You see, Ramananda Roy at the ultimate stage, in place of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he saw Radha Krishna. So when one achieves the perfection of serving Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he will actually see him as Radha and Krishna. So when you are seeing Radha and Krishna, where are you?
Vrindavan.
So that is how one gets his entry to Vrindavan.
so like spiritual world? There is a Chaitanya Mahaprabhu pastimes going on. Like and perfection is achieved in that sense.
Yeah. Mahaprabhu's pastimes are there in spiritual sky also, eternally, in Golok Navadvip. Yes.
They have not yet achieved the ultimate perfection there.
The thing is, it will be simultaneous. Those who are in Mahaprabhu's pastimes, they're also in Radha Krishna's pastimes.
They will be simultaneously doing
That, I don't know. I have to go there to see it myself. So the thing is, intellectually at least, what from the scriptures, what you understand is that those who are devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as we mentioned, they will be elevated to spiritual Navadvip in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's eternal pastimes in the spiritual sky. And those who have achieved that perfection, they will also have access to Vrindavan. Now how and when they will have the access, that we have to find out when you go there.
But is the qualification of like entering into Chaitanya Mahaprabhu pastime, is this true, Maharaj?
The qualification? Just surrender. That's the only qualification. Surrender to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the rest will happen. So I'll give a little break now. The first part is called service according to regulative principles or Vaidhi Bhakti. Another part of Sadhana Bhakti is called Raganuga Bhakti. Now, we discussed about that quite elaborately. So they are namely regulative and spontaneous. Spontaneous means, the word rag actually means love. So this Raganuga has two connotations. One is when the devotional service is executed out of natural love or spontaneous love for Krishna, that is Raganuga Bhakti. And the other consideration of Raganuga Bhakti is to follow one of the associates of Krishna in Vrindavan, like the gopis of Vrindavan or cowherd boys of Vrindavan or Krishna's parents in Vrindavan. So the ultimate consideration of Raganuga Bhakti is actually this following one of the residents of Vrindavan. Like yesterday, Atul Krishna Prabhu brought up a point that Lakshmi Devi could not get entrance to Vrindavan. Now, we can see when she approached Narayan and expressed her desire, what did Narayan say?
Take shelter of a gopal.
That you have to take shelter of one of the gopis. So the only way to enter into Vrindavan, even for Lakshmi Devi, is by taking shelter of one of the residents of Vrindavan. So that is why it has been defined, it has been described that Raganuga Bhakti is the way to enter into Vrindavan. Vaidhi Bhakti, Vaikuntha, Raganuga Bhakti, Vrindavan. Here this Raganuga Bhakti means the following a Ragatmika Bhakta. And who is a Ragatmika Bhakta? Krishna's intimate associates of Vrindavan are the Ragatmika Bhaktas. Rupa Goswami defines the first part of devotional practice or Vaidhi Bhakti as follows. When there is no attachment or no spontaneous loving service to the Lord, and one is engaged in the service of the Lord simply out of obedience to the order of the spiritual master or in pursuance of the scriptures, such obligatory service is called Vaidhi Bhakti. Like we don't like to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. But Srila Prabhupada wanted us to. Our scripture says that we should attend Mangalarati at Brahma Muhurta. So we have to do it, although we don't want to do it. In Padma Puran also the same process is advised. There it is said that one should always remember Lord Vishnu. This is called dhyan or meditation. Always remembering Krishna, it is said that one has to meditate with his mind fixed upon Vishnu. Padma Puran recommends that one always fix his mind on the form of Vishnu by meditation and not forget him at any moment. And the state of consciousness is called samadhi or trance. When there is an order from a superior about doing something, there is simultaneously a prohibition. So here it is coming, Vaidhi Bhakti means it has vidhi and nishedh. Nishedh. There are certain things are restricted, certain things are prohibited, and certain things are promoted. Certain activities have been advised to follow, and certain activities have been advised not to execute, not to do. Rules and regulations mean certain things should be done and certain things shouldn't be done. And this is how Vaidhi Bhakti has been defined. Then it comes to the four orders of the human society, and it has been pointed out that irrespective of those orders or those divisions of the human society, everybody is eligible to render, or everyone must, here it says, everyone must be engaged in devotional service to Krishna. And the perfection of all his duty is how the Lord is satisfied with such activities. The Krishna consciousness movement is so nice. There is no need of even designating oneself Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyas. Let everyone be engaged in whatever occupation he now has. Simply let him worship the Lord by the result of his activities in Krishna consciousness. That will adjust the whole situation, and everyone will be happy and peaceful within this world. In Narad Pancharatra, the regulative principles of devotional service are described as follows. Any activity sanctioned in the revealed scriptures and aimed at the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of God are accepted by saintly teachers as the regulative principles of devotional service. If one regularly executes such service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead under the direction of a bona fide spiritual master, then gradually he rises to the platform of service, of serving in pure love of God. So then we go to the next chapter, the eligibility of the candidate for accepting devotional service. So this is describing how by the association of a saintly personality one becomes attracted to Krishna and becomes involved in Krishna consciousness. So the beginning of Krishna consciousness is the association of a devotee, or it can be described as the mercy of a devotee. Brahmando Brahmite kono bhagyoban jeev Guru Krishna prasade pai bhakti lata bij. While traveling in this universe, some fortunate soul gets an opportunity to come across, gets an opportunity to receive the seed of devotional service by the mercy of Guru and Krishna. So first the devotee and then Krishna. Because unless and until we come across a devotee and understand the importance of Krishna consciousness, the benefit of Krishna consciousness, we won't be able to receive it. So the first consideration is the devotee. In this connection, Lord Krishna says in Srimad Bhagavatam, my dear Uddhava, only by exceptional fortune does someone become attracted to me. And even if one is not completely detached from fruitive activities or is not completely attached to devotional service, such service is quickly effective. Devotees may be divided into three classes. The devotees in the first or uppermost class is described as follows. He is very expert in the study of relevant scriptures, and he is also expert in putting forward arguments in terms of those scriptures. So the qualification of a Uttamadhikari is that he understood, he realized the scriptures. So much so that he can defeat any argument based on the basis of scripture. He can defeat anybody. And his faith is so strong that it will never waver. His understanding of the scripture is profound, and his commitment to, his conviction to Krishna consciousness is absolute. So nothing can shake him, or nor can anyone defeat him, nor can anyone deviate him from his conviction. But Madhyamadikar is the one, the second class devotee is one who may not know the scripture that well. He may not defeat somebody on the basis of scriptural understanding or scriptural conclusions, but his faith is strong. Even though he may not be able to defeat others, even though others may be able to defeat him or point faults in his practice, what he is doing, but his faith will not waver. He'll be fixed in Krishna consciousness. But the third class devotee is one whose faith can be shaken. So these are according to the faith, three classes have been defined. Whose faith can be shaken and destroyed is a neophyte devotee, third class devotee. The second class devotee is even if his faith is attacked and he is not in a position to defend his faith, still he'll stick to his faith. And the first class devotee is he, if his faith is attacked, he will destroy the opponents very valiantly. And there is no question of his faith being shaken. The second class devotee has been defined by the following symptoms. He is not very expert in arguing on the strength of revealed scriptures, but he has firm faith in the objective. And a neophyte or third class devotee is one whose faith is not strong and who at the same time does not recognize the decision of revealed scriptures. So then Rupa Goswami pointed out that the pure devotion is free from the desire for material enjoyment and desire for liberation. That is the symptom of pure devotion. Srila Rupa Goswami therefore compared possessing these bhakti and mukti desires with being influenced by the black art of a witch. In both cases, one is in trouble. Bhakti means material enjoyment, and mukti means to become freed from material anxiety and to become one with the Lord. These desires are compared to being haunted by ghosts and witches, because while these aspirations for material enjoyment or spiritual oneness with the Supreme remain, no one can relish the actual transcendental taste of devotional service. A pure devotee never cares for liberation. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu prayed to Krishna, "My dear son of Nanda, I do not want any material happiness in the shape of many followers, nor immense opulence in wealth, nor beautiful wife. Nor do I want cessation from material existence. I may take birth many times, one after another, but what I pray from you is that my devotion unto you may always remain unflinching." So the only prayer of a devotee is that he never deviates from the path of devotion, that his devotion remains always unflinching. So now there are certain quotations from the scriptures to confirm that point. Sri Billamangal Thakur has said, If I am engaged in devotional service unto you, my dear Lord, then very easily can I perceive your presence everywhere. And as far as liberation is concerned, I think liberation stands at my door with folded hands, waiting to serve me. To pure devotees, therefore, liberation and spiritual emancipation are not very important things. Kapil Dev has advised his mother Devahuti as follows: My dear mother, my pure devotees are charmed by seeing my different forms. The beauty of my face, the structure of my body so enchanting. My laughing, my pastimes, my glance appear to them so beautiful that their minds are always absorbed in thoughts of me, and their lives are dedicated fully unto me. Although such people do not desire any kind of liberation or any kind of material happiness, still I give them a place among my associates in the supreme abode. Uddhav addresses Lord Krishna and says, My dear Lord, for persons who are engaged in your transcendental loving service, there is nothing worth obtaining from religiousness, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. Although happiness from these different sources can be very easily had by them, in spite of such facilities, my dear Lord, I do not aspire to achieve any such results. My only prayer is that I may have unflinching faith and devotion unto your lotus feet. A similar passage appears in the 3rd canto, 25th chapter, verse 34. Wherein Kapil Dev instructs his mother and says, My dear mother, devotees whose hearts are always filled in the service of my lotus feet and who are prepared to do anything for my satisfaction, especially those fortunate devotees who assemble together to understand my qualities, pastimes, and form, and thus glorify me congregationally and derive transcendental pleasure therefrom, never desire to become one with me. And what to speak of becoming one with me? If they are offered a post like mine in my abode, or opulence like mine, or even personal association with me with similar body features, they refuse to accept because they are satisfied simply by being engaged in my devotional service. So the joy of serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead is so wonderful that one loses the taste for even liberation, even association of the Lord in the spiritual sky, even the same position as the Lord in the spiritual sky. King Dhruva says, My dear Lord, sorry. Dhruva Maharaj says, My dear Lord, the transcendental pleasure derived by meditation upon your lotus feet, which is enjoyed by pure devotees, cannot be approached by the transcendental pleasure derived by the impersonalist through self-realization. So the impersonalist cannot even imagine what kind of joy the devotees experience by being in his personal association. So how can the fruitive workers, who at most can aspire to promote to the higher heavenly planets, understand you, and how can they be described as enjoying a happiness similar to the devotee's happiness? So the point is, the happiness, the joy, the ananda that a devotee experiences is the supreme, and no other pleasure of this material nature can compare to that. So these are the main points that has been made in the second and third chapter.
But it is possible that a first-class devotee may be knowing the essence of the scriptures but not be well versed in the scriptures.
You see, because a first-class devotee is in constant communion with Krishna, all the scriptures are revealed to him. He may not be a great scholar as such. He may not have studied the scriptures, but the scriptures have automatically become revealed to him. There are many devotees who are apparently not very learned. There are even some devotees who are not even literate, but they are exalted devotees, pure devotees, and all the scriptures. Because this can become exemplified in this way. So, when the sun comes up, in the light of the sun you see the sun, you see yourself, and you see everything else. Then everything becomes known to you. So similarly, when the sun like Krishna appears in your heart, in that light of Krishna consciousness, you will not only see Krishna, you will see yourself and you will see everyone. Everything then will be known to you. The scripture actually is making that point. Knowing him, everything becomes known. Jasmin vigyate sarvamevam vigyatam bhavati. Knowing him, everything becomes known. So it's like the rising of the sun. So similarly, we have to understand that the knowledge of a devotee, of a pure devotee, is not an academic knowledge. It is not a kind of knowledge that has been acquired by cultivation of studies. It is a knowledge that is revealed in his heart. It's there. He knows. Yes.
I have two questions. First one, you said that in the beginning that devotion service is continual. It comes from the previous life. So the first life, how the person gets the connection?
Yeah, association of a devotee, mercy of a devotee, right? And not only first life, life after life, it will be like that. He has to come across a devotee to receive it.
Maharaj, this faith and knowledge, like in the previous class, you were telling that faith can be changed. So, what is this faith and knowledge like? What is it? How it evolves? Like how the neophyte, one goes from neophyte, like what things he focuses on is faith.
Yeah, the thing is that what I meant is not just knowledge, the scientific knowledge. See, one is faith and the other is scientific understanding. You see, scientific understanding is not subjected to our faith or our belief. It is there, like the sun rises in the east. Whether I believe it or not, the sun will always rise in the east. So that is the scientific understanding. Whereas the faith is, like I believe because I've been told, or this is my religion is telling me to believe. That's why I believe. That's the difference. Yes, and Atul Krishna Prabhu.
Maharaj, what type of jnani is it that's being referred to by Prabhupada in this third chapter when he says that without being elevated to the position of a jnani, one cannot stick to the principle of worshipping the Supreme Personality?
Yeah. Prabhupada actually is quoting that verse or translating that verse. Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mang prapaddate. There are different levels, like the one is a fruitive worker, one is a seeker of liberation, but one, the higher than that, is a person who understands that Krishna, Vasudeva, is the cause of all causes. So that unless and until one comes to that platform, one cannot actually accept devotional service wholeheartedly. Or another quotation in this respect is Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma Na Sochati, that is when one becomes situated in the Brahma Bhuta platform, then Mad Bhakting Labhate Param. But this is not, this is the personal aspect. Impersonalists cannot ever come. This is a personal Jnani. Jnani, you see, impersonalists will end up with Brahma Sadhya, which is actually liberation, a desire for liberation, merging with Brahma. Why? Because then there won't be any suffering in the material nature. Rather, I will enjoy in that way, by being the supreme controller, by seeing myself as the cause of all causes. Right? But the real jnana is to recognize that Vasudeva Sarvamiti, being situated in the Brahma Bhuta platform, then Sama Sarvesu Bhuteshu Mad Bhakting Labhate Param. Then he has the pure spiritual understanding. He sees every living entity as a spirit soul, and he recognizes that Krishna is the supreme spirit, the source of all the spirit souls, and thus he becomes engaged in devotional service unto him.
How is it possible for Kanishta Adhikari to become a preacher because he has no faith and has no knowledge?
He may be Kanishta Adhikari, but if he goes out to preach, he'll become Madhyama Adhikari.
Is it dangerous?
No. Like Prabhupada gave the example, if you know that Krishna is God, if you know this much, that Krishna is God, then go and tell everybody, Krishna is God, and accept him as your Lord and Master. Can you do that? Can anybody do that?
But isn't it that is the level of faith?
No, like he goes and tells, and then if he cannot convince him fully, then he says, well, come to the temple and meet the temple president. Right? So he can preach anybody can preach. That's what Prabhupada's point is. Prabhupada gave the example that there may be different degrees of your ability, and according to that ability you may preach. But anybody can preach. Prabhupada is giving the example, like there are some birds, like sparrows, they just fly around the courtyard. There are some birds, they fly to some distance. There are some other birds, they fly from one continent to another continent. And there are some other birds that fly from one planet to another planet. So similarly, there are different types of preachers. Some will preach around their house. Some will go from one place to another and preach. Some will go from one continent to another continent and preach. And some will go from one planet to another planet to preach. But preach you must.
Another question. Nectar Devotion on page 31, there's a statement. Without becoming pious, no one can come to devotional service.
Without being
Pious.
pious,
It
yeah.
seems that this is the qualification to perform devotional service.
Yeah.
Comment on this.
Not, the thing is that as long as, which actually means that your tendency, if you still have sinful tendencies, right, then you cannot come to the spiritual platform. That means one has to be free from sinful activities or tendencies for sinful activities, which means sense gratification, right? And to pious means to not to care about the sense gratification, but believe in something that is beyond. Like a pious person will act in a way that may not bear the immediate result. That means that he is actually believing in something that is beyond his immediate sense perception. You get the point? Therefore, ultimately we have to believe in Krishna and the spiritual sky. So unless and until we have that faith and in Krishna, Shraddha in Krishna, we cannot become engaged in devotional service. So there was one hand.
Can you explain why once more? This thing that if somebody has tendency for sense gratification, then he cannot come to devotional service or pure devotional service.
Which means pure devotional service.
Because they are convinced with Bhakti and...
Right, yeah. It's about pure devotional service.
So, this Uttamadhikari and Madhyamadhikari, they both, faith is not shaken. So it means that the only Madhyamadhikari lacks the knowledge of scriptures. That's the only difference.
Yeah. Madhyamadhikari's knowledge is not that fixed. Which means, you see, the difference between Uttamadhikari and Madhyamadhikari is that Uttamadhikari is realized, whereas Madhyamadhikari is not yet realized.
Maharaj, the second stage of Madhyamadhikari is told here as the one who has firm faith in the procedure of devotional service unto Krishna. So, my confusion is two-way, whether all the preachers come in the category of Madhyamadhikari, or then the neophyte stage, there's the highest category in the neophyte stage is Jnani. And Jnani stage is one who has realized that he is spiritual. That is also very high stage in neophyte.
Yeah. See, the point is that to be in Madhyamadhikar platform, the only qualification you need is to desire to give it to others. That's the only qualification. And whatever you have, give it. This much, give it. If you have this much, give it. The giving is that qualification, the desire to give.
All Madhyamadhikari.
Yeah. Therefore, even a neophyte devotee can be a Madhyamadhikari devotee. And in this respect, Prabhupada is saying that ISKCON is actually meant for Madhyamadhikari devotees, because it's a preaching mission. So everyone in ISKCON is meant to preach, directly or indirectly.
Does it mean, Maharaj, that we come across the stage of neophyte and
That will be there. But yeah, there will be neophyte Madhyamadhikari, Madhyamadhikari, and Uttamadhikari, Madhyamadhikari. Right? I mean, in that sense, there will be degree of advancement. To clarify that point, actually, Prabhupada once gave, you see, Prabhupada's secretary was Shamsundar Prabhu and Mother Maluti, his wife, and they had a little daughter, Saraswati. So, I think it was in Delhi, some important person, maybe a minister or someone, came to see Srila Prabhupada. And while the person was waiting, Saraswati, who was only about 4 or 5 years old, just kind of there talking to that person. Like that, she was there, and this man was having some exchanges with her. And Saraswati asked the man, "Do you know Krishna?" The man kind of, in a joking way, said, "No, I don't know Krishna." Then she said, "You don't know Krishna? Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead." And so Prabhupada, when he heard about that, he said, "Let's see, in Krishna consciousness, even a little child can preach to a big man. You don't know Krishna? Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead." So at least that, if that much conviction you have, go out and tell people that, and that will work. You don't know Krishna? Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is preaching.
In the categories of the white, the four Kumaras are there. Srila Prabhupada has given the example of four Kumaras. They were in 16 Brahma realization. How they came to Krishna consciousness, devotional service.
Yeah, they, by the mercy of the Lord, they were impersonalists, but they had the good fortune of smelling the tulasis and flowers offered to the lotus feet of the Lord. And they became so attracted to the tulasi, the fragrance of tulasi, that they became attracted to the personal feature of the Lord.
They were eligible to go to Vaikuntha. They are not allowed to go to Vaikuntha.
They are special persons. That's why they were stopped from Vaikuntha, entering into Vaikuntha. But we have to understand that four Kumaras, they are actually incarnations of the Lord. So initially, at some point, until some stage, they were impersonalists. But that was only just, like in the material nature, everyone is born in ignorance. So, like even Brahma was born in ignorance. So, whoever comes to the material nature, he is in ignorance. At the most, he is Brahman realized. Like it is some sort of advanced stage of ignorance.
Those who are Brahma realized, they can get chance to go to the association.
Until and unless they become attached to the personal form of the Lord. How many questions should I take? 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Maharaj, in the chapter named eligibility of the candidate for accepting devotional service. So what I could understand is that initially is saying that we must be attracted basically, and through the association of devotees. So what I can understand, that is a qualification for rendering or coming to devotional service. And later, Rupa Goswami Prabhupada is coming to the point that for rendering pure devotional service, one must be free from any fruitive desire. Like he mentions 4 types of neophyte, out of which all have some material motives.
Yeah.
Only Jnani is situated at spirit, soul level, and he understands that Krishna. So his relationship is without much material desire, etc. So eligibility of the candidate initially is referring to accepting devotional service, and then later is developing to the stage that for accepting pure devotional service, eligibility is that one must be free from the bodily consciousness of life, desire for material sense gratification.
Yes.
Is that?
Yeah. Right. Yes.
Who is a first class devotee? Is it necessary that he will be only situated in the Madhurya with the Lord, or in other rasas also he can be situated?
No, he can be. Like for example, in Vrindavan there is somebody in Sakharas, the cowherd boys. They are in Sakharas. They are not only devotees; they are eternal associates of the Lord.
Sometimes Rupa Goswami is telling that the Madhurya is the topmost among the 5 rasas.
Yeah, but it is also said that whatever is one's mellow, he considers that to be the highest. Jar jei rosh hoy, সেই সর্বোত্তম, তটস্থ হইয়া বিচারিলে আছে তারতম. If you look at it from the marginal point, then you can ascertain that some are higher and some are lower. But whatever is one's own mellow, he thinks that's the highest. Like for example, those who are in Sakkharas, they are not competing, oh, why I'm in Sakkharas? I should at least have Vatsalyaras, right? No, the Sakkharas are thinking, that's the ultimate thing for me. The parents are thinking, this is the ultimate thing for me. And the gopis are thinking, this is the ultimate thing for me. Because that is what they want. The cowherd boys are excited. They're thinking that this is the ultimate achievement of their existence, to have Krishna as their friend. They're not deciding as Sakkharas and Vatsalyaras. They're thinking that Krishna is my friend and that's all I know.
One is a devotee of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then what rasa is related to?
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's devotees are generally related to him in Dasaras. Mahaprabhu is served in Dasaras, and that relationship will lead to Sakha Vatsala or Madhurya in Vrindavan. Serve Mahaprabhu in Dasaras, he will end up in Vrindavan in Sakha Vatsala and Madhurya.
So his associates, like that, we see Krishna's various associates are there in Madhurya and other states. So who are Mahaprabhu's associates? With the Mahaprabhu, what kind of rasa they are?
Yeah, all the Mahaprabhu's associates, they are somebody in Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. They have their roles in, say for example, Sarup Damodar is Lalita, Ramananda Rai is Vishakha, Nityananda Prabhu is Balaram, Advaita Acharya is Mahavishnu, Gadadhar Pandit is Radharani, Narad Muni is Shrivash, or rather Shrivash is Narad Muni, Murari Gupta is Hanuman, Sukadev Goswami is a parrot of Krishna in Vrindavan. Yeah, so last question.
Like in Bhagavad Gita, in various places in purports, Prabhupada says that this Krishna conscious movement is so easy and nice, anybody can take up to it at any time. And we have also seen when Prabhupada went initially to US, many of the hippies and the drug addicts also took up this movement. Whereas here in this chapter we saw that certain minimum pious activities are required for a person to come to devotional service. So how do we understand this?
Prabhupada said that I have created your pious activities. So Prabhupada has created their pious activities. Not only theirs, ours as well. What qualifications do we have? This Krishna consciousness is rare for even Lord Brahma. So what is our qualification? Just Prabhupada's mercy. Okay, last question.
Yesterday you were telling that Jagai Madai's rasa got changed. But when they were shown, given darshan to Lord Chaitanya, they were he showed them.
I didn't say rasa got changed. I said that they got elevated to Vrindavan. From the gateway to Vaikuntha, got elevated to Vrindavan.
Now they are in Vrindavan.
Huh?
They are now in Vrindavan.
Yeah, they're in Vrindavan, they're also in Navadvip. Thank you. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.